Okay, I think I'll start with our next point that my colleague Svetlana from the EU IPO and myself from the European Commission, DG Grow, the unit for intellectual property is where I work. We'll go into all the ways in which the European Union protects your intellectual property rights. And I'll have a first part here in which I explain to you the bigger landscape of what we're doing at the European Commission to protect your IP. And then Svetlana will go into all the instruments that the EU IPO offers to small and medium companies to protect IP instruments that you might be interested in. So maybe I'll start us off with a simple question. Why do we even protect IP, right? We think that we see that here in this in these halls that we are living in a knowledge economy, an economy that drives on ideas, and that of course presents a conundrum, which is essentially that ideas, while they are very valuable, they're also susceptible to copying, and copying can actually be a real damage for specifically smaller companies. So we think that an economy and a society that values ideas needs to make sure that those people and companies that have these ideas are protected and can reap the financial rewards of these ideas. So that's what intellectual property is all about. But it also, of course, there is a financial aspect to it. It's clear from the numbers that for the European Union, the IPR-related economy is central. It provides 47% of the EU's GDP, and companies and IPR owners generally have a 55% higher revenue per employee. But for small and medium-sized companies, there's also a clear incentive to actually register IP rights. We know that in the seed or early growth stages, there's a much higher likelihood associated with IPR rights than if you had not. So I'll show you these numbers, which are very small for you to see, but on the right column you'll see that in the early stage of a startup, there is a 10.2 higher likelihood of a company receiving VC funding if it has applied for trademarks and patents. There's another interesting data point here, which is that there is a 3.2 times higher likelihood associated with existing IPR rights for companies, for them to actually successfully exit into the market. But we also think there's another aspect to IPR rights, which is we think that it is also an appreciation of a society of its creators, its innovators. By having strong, effective IPR rights, we are essentially valuing those in our societies that are trying to find solutions for the challenges our societies face. So given all that, what have we done? What are the ways in which your companies can protect your IPR rights? First, I'll show to designs. Designs, what do? Designs basically protect a specific form your product has. Let's say, for example, you create a furniture or a shoe or a car. These types of forms can be protected through design law, and you can easily make an application with the EU IPO for that. We also have patents. What are patents? Patents are exclusive rights that give a company or an inventor the monopoly on that invention, or that inventor could also license that patent out. We have trade secrets. What are trade secrets? Generally, the most common example is the formula for the Coca-Cola. So it's an information that is really important to a company, has a financial value to it, and the company takes steps to make it secret. That then becomes a trade secret that can be protected. We have trademarks, which I think you all know, and we have geographical indications. Geographical indications are something we all know from going shopping in supermarkets. So for example, the Parmesan cheese or the Rioja from Spain are protected geographical indications related to a specific region, a specific way of craftsmanship in which a product is made. And we think that valuing that, these communities have created this, often over many generations, must have a form of a legal protection. So what have we done in these past 4 years? What are the things that you can expect to see as new forms of IPR protection in the upcoming years? One of the main things that we focus on at the European Commission is patent law, because we think that patents are a way in which the European Union can really drive its competitiveness. So a main thing that happened last year is the coming into force of the unitary patent system. This might be really interesting for many smaller companies that are active in a number of markets in the European Union. With the unitary patent, you can receive patent protection in 17 member states with one application, one deadline, and one-time payment. And that leads to a reduction of costs in considerable extent. Now you pay for a unitary patent 6,900 euros, whereas if you were trying to apply for a patent protection in all member states, this would cost you 29,000 euros. So you see this is a really effective way of protecting your IP in a less burdensome way at low costs. And part of this patent package were other areas which, if you address me afterwards, we can go into in more detail. That is, for one, the SPC, the supplementary protection certificates, which has to do a lot with plant and pharma products. We have a compulsory licensing regime. And one thing that's really interesting, I think, here in these halls is the SEPS regulation, which deals with standard essential patents. So patents that read on standards such as Wi-Fi or 5G or 4G. Companies that are implementing these standards need to pay licenses, but oftentimes they don't know to whom they have to pay the licenses and what a fair price is. Our regulation will try to make this market more transparent and make access to these patents more efficient. But that's not all we've done, of course. We've also gone into other points. For example, something that's really interesting for many consumers in the next coming years is that we've created geographical indications. I told you we have that in agricultural products, but we'll have that also in crafts. So for example, knives from Solingen in Germany will be protected as a form of geographical indication, as a form of value that was created by a community over many years. We have also updated our design protection regime. And something that's really interesting in that respect is that it includes a repair parts clause, which liberalizes the repair parts market, let's say, for example, for cars, and makes this a market that is accessible to third-party producers, something that was not as easy before. We've also renewed our SME fund, and my colleague Svetlana will go into that in more detail. We've also renewed our help desk funding, which I will tell you about in a second. And finally, we've published a toolbox on counterfeiting of relevant IPR, because an IPR that you have, I think you all know, only makes sense if you can actually protect it. Only enforced IP rights are real IP rights. And this toolbox helps companies to make sure that the protections they receive in intellectual property are actually enforced. I just want to put one more thing before I hand it over to my colleague. I want to make you aware of our international SME help desks. This is a really helpful tool for companies that are trying to enter the market in some of the EU's markets worldwide. So for example, if you're going to enter with a product in China or in Africa, you can easily contact our IPR help desks in those regions, and they will help you navigate the world and the frameworks of IP rights in those countries. Make sure that your IP management takes care of all the relevant requirements of those areas. This is a free service. It is confidential. You can directly contact our IP help desks, and this is specifically concentrated on SMEs. So something that maybe for many of you might be interesting. So thank you for your interest in IP rights, and I'll hand over to my colleague Svetlana.
Thank you. Hello from my side as well. As my colleague Jonas already said, I'm from the EU IPO, and I would like to give you more information on free support for IP rights. So we have the free personalized intellectual property support. So maybe you know already what you need to protect. Then you can go directly to our webpage, Ideas Powered for Business, and apply for the SME Fund, which is a funding scheme so that you can protect your rights. We understand that especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, a trademark application which costs at EU IPO 850 euros for one product class might be a lot. So that's why we want to help with the SME fund, which I will explain in a few minutes more in detail. But if you're not sure what you want to protect, well, you can also have some free personalized intellectual property support from IP experts that can then do a more in-depth analysis of your business strategy. And also, you see, that's the web page. So it's not only advise what you want to protect. Okay, maybe you don't know. I have a new product, and what is it? Do I need to protect it with a patent or a trademark or a design? Well, the IP support can help you there. Also, it can help you in case of unauthorized use. So you maybe have already a trademark and someone is using it and you don't know what to do. So also there, you can get your support for free. Also, if you're accused of infringement, that might happen as well. Even for that, we provide guidance. And yeah, that's how it's quite easy, because I heard already the argument, yeah, EU does many things, but it's so complicated, okay? But we're here to help. So you went to that web page, which I showed you, and then you fill out the form, send the application form, we receive it, and then we see what you need. Either the IP support advice, or maybe something that we call alternative dispute resolution. Okay, that is also for free, where then our experts will help you to navigate that. And we have a new mediation center where this dispute resolution is seated, which is for free for small and medium-sized enterprises on first instance. So we call it, you apply for a trademark and someone says, no, mine is too similar, and I have it registered earlier than you, then they would file an opposition against you. So there we also then offer some advice, because normally you would then contract maybe a lawyer who helps you to navigate the opposition proceedings and file the observations. But there we also have our mediation center, or the free ADR support for SMEs on the first instance, okay? For other bigger companies, for them it's only on second instance when there is an appeal already against that decision. But for small and medium-sized enterprises, we have it earlier in oppositions, invalidity and revocation of marks proceedings, and also in designs. And we will gradually extend the service for all companies, also in first instance in the coming years, not only for SMEs. But the SMEs, we see the need there is probably bigger, so we have started with them. IP scan, it's another possibility for you. What is it? An IP scan is a full report on the IP strategy you can obtain, and where IP experts then propose a set of best practices and recommendations on how to manage and protect and develop your IP rights. Okay, so when you don't have yet, you can ask for an IP scan, which is elaborated after an interview with an IP expert by the National IP Office. Okay, that's not something we do it in collaboration with them, but that's by the National IP Office. The German one is participating, and many others. I'll show that in a later slide. And that can help you to get an idea, okay, what you need in intellectual property. So let's imagine you are developing an eco-friendly plant care product, and you would now want to protect your creativity, and so that you are able to compete in the innovation process safely. So what would you then? Well, in the composition of the product, there you would protect it with a patent. Okay. Also, the name of the product has to be protected. That would be then a trademark. And the shape and colors of the recipients, my colleague mentioned it already before, that would be then protected by a design, for example. Now, he mentioned already, and I also mentioned the SME fund. All these IP rights, they cost money. And we get it, that that's tricky, especially for SMEs. So that's why we have the SME fund, where we help the companies with vouchers to protect their rights. You need to be an SME, a small and medium-sized enterprise with your seat in the EU, and then you can apply for the SME fund. It is foreseen to last until December of this year, but if the funds are exhausted before, unfortunately it will close earlier, but we hope not. There is quite some money in it. But for example, we see there the voucher 3 for patents is temporarily closed, because I will show now the vouchers. They have a certain time of validity, okay? So let's imagine you have applied for it, but you haven't used the whole voucher. Then, once the validity is over, the money comes back into the fund, and then it'll open again. So we are confident that also patent vouchers will soon be available again. So that's the official definition of what a small or medium-sized enterprise is. You find all this information also on our webpage. And these are those who can apply for the SME fund. So let's see a bit more in detail the SME fund. You apply for it. It's fairly easy. You apply for it. The only documents you need to provide is the VAT number, the statement from a bank, where your name and the bank account appear, and that's it. Okay, so it's not so difficult and doesn't need a lot of documents. So let's have a look at the vouchers themselves. So 4 vouchers are there. As I said, the IP scan, which I explained before that the national offices do, that has a cost with the national offices. So this is also funded by the SME fund if you apply for it. The first voucher, it's 1,350 euros worth. It depends on the country, though, and for which you apply this. You have to apply for the IP scan. Well, if you're a company in Germany, then you would have it with the German Trademark and Patent Office. And you see, it includes many activities on national level, EU level, but also you can see in trademarks, also on international level. We are funding, for example, in the IP scan, 90% of the costs of an IP scan, with the maximum of the already mentioned 1,350 euros. Trademarks and design voucher, in the worth of 1,000 euros. And we fund all the fees, but not the lawyer's fees. But there, as said before, you can ask for the personalized free IP support. Trademarks are funded and designs for 75% on international level, 50% of the costs. And then also the patents on national level, on European level, and in patents, and I reckon that's why it's closed already, it was such a big success. This year, it's new that we also fund for patents, the legal costs for patent application, okay, in the worth of 2,000 euros. The whole voucher for patents would be 3,500. And also plant varieties might be interesting as well to protect them. And also there we offer funding of the filing and examination fees. And you see also here the validity for the vouchers. It's 2 months when you have applied for the voucher. And in those 2 months, you need to activate it. And then it is the first 2 vouchers, they have to be implemented. I mean, you have to then apply for the trademark or design within 6 months, okay? You can extend the activation, but you have to comply with the deadlines there. We have to be strict as this is a public funding scheme from the European Commission and EU IPO international offices. We are a bit strict with the deadlines. But we have there, here, the there it is, the IP scan. As I said, national offices provided. This is also the information you find on our webpage with the direct links to the national offices then also. The IP scan does not constitute legal advice though, okay? It's not the pre-filing search. Before you file a trademark, you need to make searches, obviously, to see if such a trademark already exists or a similar one. This is not covered by the IP scan. That would be done by a lawyer via the free IP support, for example. It is, okay, there we go. The SME fund process. As I said, it's easy, not much paperwork. On our webpage, you would need to make a user area. And once you have that user area, you can go and apply online. It's only online for the SME fund. So the first step is to apply for the vouchers. You could, if you need, apply for all 4 vouchers, okay? It's not exclusive. Or you could now apply for 1, and then you think, okay, maybe I also need a plant variety, and then you apply for that one too. 15 working days, if all the paperwork is fine, and there are no further questions as regards your application, then it's 15 working days in which maximum you receive a reply. And only then you would have to file for your trademark, not the other way around, because that cannot be. So if you already have a trademark, we cannot fund it, okay? It has to be in this order. First, the SME fund application. Once you receive the grant, then you apply for your IP rights that you want to have. And then, after that, you file also, it's all explained on the web page, and if you still have doubts, call us. We always help in various languages also, in German, English, and yeah, many other languages. So, and then you have to file for reimbursement in the system as well, and then you get within, I think, how long is it now? 30 days, something like that. You will get then reimbursed your fees. Yeah, that's the webpage I was talking about, where you need to create your user area and the SME profile. Okay. Tips. So, check your documents that they match the details you provide in the online form. Check also the uploaded documents, whether they're readable, and check also the contact email that you provided, because we will communicate via email with you if there are some doubts or we need additional information. And as I said, we're here to help. We have FAQs regarding the SME fund and all the other areas of IP rights on our webpage. And also we have an online chat. If you have questions, you know, when you open the form, the online chat pops up. There are colleagues, it's not a machine, who are sitting there and replying to your questions. They can also, if you allow them, co-browse with you while you're filling out the form if you have questions. We thought it is quite, yeah, understandable and how do you say, would not need much explanation, but sometimes we're not in your shoes, and then we have the chat functionality and the co-browsing. And also you can contact us via email or the national IP offices. So I hope we have put your minds at ease that you can have your IP rights protected easily, and also yeah, cost efficiently, and it's very important to do that, because especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, because if someone else registers the right before you do, they have the right, and for your business that might be a huge damage. So if you have further questions, we're here around. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a lovely rest of the day.